Very excited right now to be joined by the seventh-year head coach of the Campbell Camels, Justin Haire. Coach Haire, welcome back to the show.
Bubba, I appreciate you having me on, man. One of the highlights of the preseason is being able to jump on with you and break it down for a few minutes.
Absolutely. Unfortunately, last year this was the only time we met. That being during the preseason, with everything that happened, COVID-19 shutting everything down. So, just tell us what the last 10 months, the craziness, and how your program's handled it. I've heard so many coaches say that their teams are closer than ever before.
Yeah, man, it's definitely been a challenge. I think the biggest takeaway from the last 10 months is that every piece of your program has been evaluated, right? You know, how you develop players, how you communicate with your guys, how you recruit, how how you go about the weight room, how you go about scheduling, how you go about scheduling practice. Every piece, of your program has been kind of dissected and resurrected and rebuilt. Some things the same, some things differently. And so it's, if you take kind of the long view of it, it's been interesting and been fun to kind of be able to, maybe not in the moment, not that much fun, but kind of looking back saying, you know what, like we've kind of always done something one particular way, and maybe that's not the best way or most efficient way, and maybe we're not getting the most mileage out of that we possibly could. And so I think anytime you get a chance to kind of take a step back, reevaluate, and make adjustments, hopefully for the better, that can be an exciting time. And we've tried to do that as much as we possibly can while trying to improve ourselves as coaches, trying to challenge our guys to improve themselves as people, outside of just, hey man, we're just coaches that throw BP and hit fungos and feed machines, and players that are just on the field practicing and playing, trying to dig a little bit deeper and really expand our guys' horizons from an educational standpoint and just a maturity and growth standpoint.
Coach, for the third consecutive year, your ball club, your program, I should say, has been predicted to win the Big South. Last year, obviously, things got shut down 30% of the way through, so we didn't see what would have transpired there. But after a very successful 2019, where you advanced to the championship game of the Greenville Regional against East Carolina, just talk about where things stand with your program going this year, just in a general sense, and then we'll start to dive into the roster a bit.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think we're certainly in a good spot. I think any good program starts with having good people within the walls of your program. And, our staff, our extended staff, support staff is first and foremost, just A+ people. Our strength coach, Matt Rodriguez, our academic coordinator, Liz Homan, our athletic trainer, Callie Hannon, our director of player development, a guy named Jordan Stampler, who's been a head coach at the Division III level, and just so on and so forth. We really work on surrounding our guys with quality people, and then on top of that, trying to recruit really high character, high quality guys, so that when we walk into the locker room, to the clubhouse, when we go out on the field, when we go into the weight room, we can all live to that standard, right? And challenge ourselves, not by what other people may say, hey, you guys were picked first, you guys were picked fifth, you guys were picked eighth, whatever it is. We challenge ourselves day by day by living to the standard of our program and trying to consistently push that standard to a higher level. And I think that when we can do that, and we can focus on that, and we can focus on competing against that standard opposed to competing against other people's opinion of us, then we've got a chance to be successful in everything we do. And ultimately that's our goal, surround ourselves with the best people we possibly can, have a process that regardless of what other people think about us, we've got a chance to get better every single day and compete against ourselves and compete against a standard. And then hopefully that product that those two things produce is something that is championship caliber worthy.
Coach, one of the guys I know you're ecstatic to have back on your ball club this year is Colin Wolf, the redshirt senior preseason player of the year in the Big South. You described him as the consummate baseball rat and talked about his versatility and his competitiveness and his obviously experience. So just talk about Colin and everything he brings to the table.
Yeah, Colin's one of those guys that, 4, 5, 6 years from now, hopefully after having an opportunity to play pro ball after this year, he's going to get into coaching and he's going to be a darn good one. He's an extension of us from a coaching staff. He came from a high quality junior college at Tacoma Community College out near Seattle, Washington, where we've had a lot of success and a lot of really good players. He's just a guy that loves it. He loves baseball. He loves the game. He texts me, about, hey, coach, I was watching clips of the College World Series from 2000 and whatever. And I noticed that this team did this and this team did that. He's just ate up with it. He's not a kid that he wouldn't be labeled as a 5-tool type athlete. But he gets the absolute most out of his abilities and takes a lot of pride in being very prepared and being very passionate about the game and about our sport and about our program and about our team. And I think that, is he going to be the player of the year at the end of the year? I don't know, but I know this, if he's healthy, he's probably going to be in the lineup somewhere. He's played second for us. He's played short for us. He's played third for us. And he's come up in the clutch a lot for us. So, just one of those guys that loves the high leverage situations, that loves the day-to-day grind, and just is a really good representation of the blue collar mentality and workman mentality that our guys have.
Tell us about some of your other leaders positionally, and then we'll move over and talk about the pitching staff.
Yeah. So, we're fortunate, I think, we've got a really good culture within our program. And so, and our school provided us an opportunity where when the NCAA said that those seniors were going to have an opportunity to come back, we had 14 seniors on the team last year. 11 of those guys decided to come back for that extra year. 3 of them graduated and moved on. And so we've got 11 of those 14 seniors back. So we've got a fairly veteran ball club. We do have some young, exciting guys, but in terms of that group of guys coming back, we've got Kobe Collins, who was the Big South tournament MVP in 2019 and had a tremendous postseason for us. He's back for his 5th year. Spencer Packard, who hit 4-hole for us in 2019, had 20 doubles, led us in hitting. 325 was all region at the Greenville regional, was arguably the best hitter in that regional. He'll be back and be in the middle of our lineup. Marcus Skundrich will be back behind the plate. Ty Babin will be back behind the plate. So we've got some guys with some experience on the offensive side of the ball that are going to, that have kind of been through the fire and going to be able to lend some experience and just some veteran leadership quality on a day-by-day basis in terms of what it takes to be a champion, what that standard looks like, and being able to hold themselves and each other accountable to that. And then when it comes to the pitching staff, our Friday night guy from last year, Cam Cowan, who was off to a tremendous start in his first 4 starts last year, will be back. He's been up to 97. He's a beast of a man. He's like 6'5", 255, physically imposing, has an opportunity to be a good draft this year. Again, the 5-round draft probably saved us last year from losing him. We get the 2019 Big South Freshman of the Year back. He was out last year with Tommy John surgery, a left-handed pitcher named Ryan Chassie. Should factor into our weekend rotation. Again, just another high-level competitor. We have a guy named John Beamer, who was a 29th round draft out of junior college, that had a shoulder impingement last year and did not pitch in the first 4 weeks. Is healthy now and back. And so we've got those 3 guys, that have a chance to be really, really high impact guys. We've got a core of freshman arms that are really impressive and led by a guy named Cade Boxrucker, Cade Keeler from Charlotte, North Carolina. Cade Boxrucker's from Hamilton, Ohio. and a number of other guys. And then, we've got, 5 or 6 seniors back. We've got 2 sidearm guys, Jack Yusko and Landry Moore, who saved game 1 of the regional against NC State for us in 2019. We got Kevin Westlake, who started one of the championship games. He's going to kind of work out of the bullpen for us, left-handed pitcher up to 94. Jack Yusko, sidearm guy that's had a ton of experience in 4 years for us, is back again. And so, we've got a lot of guys that are hungry, that they feel a sense of urgency to make every day count because of the way the last 10 or 12 months has gone, and have a lot of experience and really have a burning desire to kind of leave our program better than how they found it, and better than how it was in 2019. Now, does that mean that we bust through and make a super regional this year? I have no idea. We don't get to necessarily control that, but our guys are preparing themselves to kind of take on that mantle and take on that challenge and try to push us forward.
Final thing for you, Coach, taking a look at the schedule. Obviously, leagues around the country are playing more and more conference games this year because of a variety of logistics, and as far as getting games in, testing protocols, so on and so forth. But the Big South is playing 40 league games. So if you would talk about that, and then also touch on the non-conference that I know includes an impressive 3-game series with Liberty.
Yeah. So, I think as conferences were working their way through what their schedule looked like, and different conferences from all over the country, different input, different ideas, different thoughts. The Big Ten comes out and says, we're going to play conference only. A couple other conferences in the Northeast, we're only going to play conference games only. And so as that started to kind of come down, the ACC, we're only going to play 50 games. And so a lot of those things start to have a trickle down effect in terms of what that looks like for conference scheduling for us. And a lot of teams, a lot of schools in our conference were losing non-conference weekends. The 4th weekend of the year, we had Ohio State scheduled. We had Indiana coming down for a tournament. We had Marist out of the MAAC coming down for a weekend. And so, really in just a couple of weeks, we went from being full in terms of the non-conference schedule and 27 conference games to being down 2 full weekends and being down a participant in a preseason tournament. So things can change really quickly. And so we weren't the only ones experiencing that. A lot of schools in our league and other leagues, of course, were experiencing that. And so, we wanted to make sure that we could kind of protect ourselves. We could kind of protect our league. We can, protect the integrity of our league schedule. And we opted to kind of go to this unbalanced 40 game schedule within the league. And at the time I was like, man, that's a lot of conference games. But now as we're getting closer to the conference season, or we're getting closer to the regular season, testing protocols for COVID-19 are all over the map for every conference. And so having 80% of our schedule really bottled up into one testing protocol, we know exactly what each team's going to do. We know exactly the benchmarks that everybody has to hit. Man, to be honest with you, it's a breath of fresh air in terms of, hey man, when we're traveling to USC Upstate, or we're traveling to Winthrop, or whatever it is, we know their testing protocol is going to match ours, and we don't have to do anything different. We don't have to go back to our budget and try to figure out how we're going to do this and how we're going to do that, and scheduling and all those things. And so in a really weird year where there's a lot more on our plate, actually having 80% of our schedule bottled up into the conference season, I think is a good thing, and really, really glad now looking back that's what we opted to go with. So that's pretty good. And then the non-conference, we always challenge ourselves in the non-conference. I think that's really important, for us to be prepared for conference play and hopefully postseason play, conference tournament, regional tournament, and so on and so forth. So this year, first weekend, we got Liberty right out of the chute. Scott Jackson, alumni here at Campbell, done a tremendous job at Liberty. They've always been good, former Big South opponent where we've had some really epic battles. And so we're going to play a home series at our place this year. We'll go back up there in 2022. So it should be a really, really good measuring stick for us right out of the chute. And then we got a really good University of Dayton team coming down Jay King up there has done a tremendous job. With that program. So they're coming down. They made some noise first weekend in Wilmington last year against a really good UNC Wilmington team. So going to challenge ourselves with high quality mid-major programs the first 2 weekends. And then our non-conference midweek schedule, we got College of Charleston, Chad Holbrook and company down there. And then we go to NC State, we go to Duke, and we go to the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill. And so continue to challenge ourselves. I wish that we could have kept East Carolina on our schedule, and UNC Wilmington and Greensboro and all of those, and Old Dominion and all of those teams that we play year in and year out in the midweek. We just were limited in the weeks that we had available, and limited in the amount of games that we could play. So we tried to make the schedule work and challenge our guys as much as we possibly could. And just continually trying to challenge ourselves to be better every single day and push the standard to new heights.
Yeah, no doubt about it, Coach. And as always, we appreciate the visit, appreciate you carving out some time for us, and we'd love to have you back on the show later on in the season and talk about how things are going for the Camels.
Absolutely, man, Bubba. I'll come on anytime, man. Just let me know. I know. We normally like to touch base as we wind down towards the end of the year. That's been a good omen for us, man. Every time we get a chance to talk, it seems like we go on a pretty good streak towards the end of the year. So if I'm struggling, I'll be calling you, to try to get us turned around and get us going in the right direction, man. I really appreciate it. Appreciate all the work you guys do for college baseball.